So let's put this video on, and this video is going to introduce rock better than I can. It's him speaking. Enjoy it, and we'll speak to you soon.
I have to think 22 once I earned the right to have breakfast. Imagine an 8.5-year-old kid getting up in the dark in Canada and going outside and opening the barn door. And I remember there would be like 30 rats every time I opened the barn door. And they would scurry around, and I would hope that none of them would stay around. And one time I went back to the house and I said, "Dad, can you come with me?" And he locked the door and he said, "Go out and do your chores. And don't come back until they're done." And it was kind of the beginning of me realizing that I wasn't in a supportive environment. And I learned one thing, and one thing only, is that if I was willing to work hard, then I could get my dad's attention. I remember waking up, I was about 13 or 14 years old, and this was the day my dad had promised me it was going to be yes. This was the day we were going to play together. We were going to throw the football back and forth, and I was super excited. I hopped out of my bed and I ran down the stairs, and I saw my father where he always is. His ankle is chained to the desk. But as I got closer, I knew something was wrong. It was like I could feel there was a heaviness in the air. And I started to get nervous. And I went, "Dad?" And he went, "Yes." I went, you ready to go play?" And the weirdest thing happened is he turned, he looked at me, and I felt myself shrinking down. And he stood up, and the shadow cast over me, and he goes, "Do you have any idea what it takes to put food on the table? Do you think that this roof just puts itself there? Money doesn't grow on trees, you know. One day you're gonna have to work hard for money. Now get out and play on your own before I put you to work." And I turned around and walked out, and I never asked him again, ever. I don't have one good memory playing with my dad. Not one. The only way I connected with him was when he was working around the house doing a chore. I'd say, "Dad, can I help you?" I'd hand him the nails, or I'd hold the measuring tape. It was the only way. He never came to my hockey games. He dropped me off in the car and stayed in the car. All the other parents were tying their skates. I was there alone. I would try to score as many goals as I could so I could go in and tell him I'd scored the winning goals. So he'd want to come and look. I remember winning honors in school for academic achievement, looking out in the crowd, hoping to see my dad, but he was never there. So the only solace I had was to work hard. So I doubled down on that, and I worked hard. And I'd call him out to look at the task being done, and invariably it was never good enough. So I doubled down again and worked harder. It didn't feel good at the time, but in life, if you do what is easy, life will be difficult. But if you do what is difficult, life will be easy. I got the difficult part up front, and I got really good at it. By the time I was 14, I saved up enough money to get a scooter. By the time I was 16, I had my first car. By the time I was 17, I thought, you know what? I'm out of here. This sucks. I mean, I could go out and make 4 times the amount of money living on my own, and if I have to pay rent, I don't care. So I moved out, I drove a taxi. I did carpentry, I cut lawns, I washed windows. I did anything that was hard work, because that's all I knew. And then my life changed. I got a call from my stepmom, and she said, "Your dad has cancer." So I jumped on a plane and I did everything I could. I took care of the house. He said to me he had some back taxes from Canada that were unpaid. I said, "Yes, I'll pay them for you." I did everything I possibly could. And I remember the day I had to leave to go back to take care of my family. I had a young son at the time, and I had nothing left. And I asked my dad, well, he was probably 98 pounds, sitting, lying in the bed. And I said, "Dad, can you think of a time when I made you proud?" And I'm thinking to myself, God, there's a whole bunch. I was almost a millionaire by that time. I had done so many things. I'd risen up, I'd opened a restaurant, I'd learned a new language, I'd done so many things. This was the time I was going, well, of course, son, let me read from the list. But instead, he said, "Nothing that I can think of." And I don't know if it broke my spirit, or if I thought I'd hit rock bottom, I hit another layer. But when I got back home, actually, I was fired from my job. My marriage had fallen apart. I had no money left that I paid to support him, so I got picked up from my apartment and I moved back with my mom at the age of 30. So there I am, 30 years old, working 16 hours a day for 20 years, and I have absolutely nothing to show for it, except maybe a skill set on how to work hard. But I tell you what, when you're down there and you think there's nothing left, it's the foundation to grow from. I thought, what am I going to do now? And some little bird mentioned real estate, so I thought I'd get into real estate. I got into real estate, and that's when I met my first mentor that transformed my life. I was in my office one night really late, and I was having a conversation with my mentor, and he walks in and he leans against the door and he goes, "You're still here?" And I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "You really have a great work ethic." And I went, "You talking to me?" He goes, "Yeah, I'm talking to you." He goes, "You're awesome." I'm like, "You still talking to me?" It's like I never had anybody tell me that they believed in me. My father said he was always, "You can do better, you can do better, you can do better." Yeah, it drove me, but it didn't make me feel confident. And I doubted it at first. And we started to talk, and he goes, "Oh, so you've labeled yourself stupid, as a loser, and a skinny little kid." He goes, "How do you feel about that?" He said, "I still feel that way." He says, "You're 30 years old." I go, "Yeah, I know, but I still felt that way inside." He said, "Okay, we're going to change that. Who's an idol that you have?" He said, "Well, one of my favorite is like Clint Eastwood. He's like rugged. I'm kind of rugged. I feel rugged." He goes, "Perfect. How does that feel when you say that?" I said, "That feels pretty good." He goes, "That's it. I want you to say that 1,000 times. 1,000 times every day, or more if you want. Loser out, ruggedly handsome in." So now what we're going to do is we're going to reprogram your brain. Your brain is like software. We're just going to reprogram it. I said, "How do I do that?" He goes, "Just every time you have a chance, say, 'I'm ruggedly handsome, I'm ruggedly handsome.'" So the words that follow, "I am," follow you. You just didn't know it. You had shitty programming. But now we're going to change that and change that forever. And I remember driving home, I was so excited. I was so excited because I could change my program. I didn't know it. I thought I was stuck that way my whole life. And all I had to do was have the energy to put it into changing the way I see myself. And I just said it over and over, screaming in the car, "Ruggedly handsome, ruggedly handsome, ruggedly handsome." I'd get up in the morning and say it over and over and over again. I'd say it as much as I possibly could. And then spontaneously one morning, I was in the shower and I said, "I'm the greatest real estate agent in my area. I'm the greatest real estate agent in my area." And I went from one sale in my first year to in a few years, 100 sales. I broke every record there was. And then I bought the freaking company. Went from farm boy to financially free. I became resourceful. I became capable of doing things I didn't know I was going to do. The most powerful force in the human psyche is how we describe ourselves to ourselves. Who's giving you labels? You're too short, you're too tall, you're quiet, you're introverted. And you take on those labels and you wear them like they're your persona. And then you live into them, like a role that you were given in life. You can rewrite that. You can make it whatever you want. Insert it and then program it. I am. I am. You are what? Gifted, guided, grateful, powerful, passionate, playful, sexy, sensual, sensitive, blessed. What are you? Today is the first day of the rest of your life. And you get to redefine yourself. So who are you? And who do you want to be? The words that follow I am follow you.
Turn to somebody and say, "I am a badass and so are you." Give them a high five. Go ahead and do that now.
I'm a badass and so are you. I'm a badass and so are you.
So welcome. Today I want to leave you with a couple of things. I want to leave you with the ability to win the external game called what I call the money game, so you have lots of choices. And I've asked people all over the world as I've done these events, how would you define success? And the piece that seems to come up all the time is the ability to have choices to do what we want, when we want, with who we want, as much as we want. How many of you would agree that's a fair assessment of success? Yes? The ability to take action when you feel like it, to overcome that little voice that we all have to overcome, this mind of ours that seems to keep us in a negative spiral, the fear, doubt, and worry. And I used to not talk about that so openly, but then I realized that as I hung out with multimillionaires, even billionaires, that they have the same voice that you have, that little voice that says, "Am I good enough?" You know that one? Am I worthy? Do I deserve to have it all? Do I deserve to have a great relationship? Do I deserve to be full of energy? Do I deserve to have wealth? Do I deserve to fly, all over the world in business class or what have you? And often the mind goes, no. So as you noticed, I was programmed as my kids through that video to have this label called pizza face because I had a lot of acne. and I felt ugly, so I stopped going to school. I woke up, I looked at the mirror, and I thought, oh my God, there's another pimple. I can't go to school, they're gonna laugh at me. So I stopped going to school, I started missing school, and when you do that, not only are you ugly, but you then become stupid. Not a combination I would recommend. So over time, when I learned that you can reprogram yourself, that our brains, and you guys know this, yes? Your brain is just software, right? And garbage in, garbage out. And for those parents that are in here, I'm going to share with you today what I call the ecosystem of effort. Is what causes us and your children to thrive. Not survive, but to thrive. And I've been testing this theory for 6 months now, and so far it's been 100% foolproof. The reason that somebody doesn't take effort or put in the work is because of one of these 3 components that is out of balance. I'm going to share that with you today. I'm going to share with you the 5 fundamentals of financial freedom. I'm going to give you the opportunity to become financially free in 5 years or less. Who likes the concept of that? Yes? Let me hear you.
Yes.
Excited about that?
Yes.
How many of you also believe that the highest currency we have really is energy? Your ability to take action. Yes?
Yes.
So is it okay if we raise the energy in here while we do this little conversation together?
Yes.
I'm going to call out I'm going to say some things. I'm going to ask you to repeat it. I'm going to ask you questions. I'm going to ask you to engage with me rather than me just try to pour into you. We're going to have a conversation. Yes?
Yes.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you. Yes?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That's fantastic. All right, let's try it again. Turn to somebody, give them a high five, and say, you are a badass.
You are badass.
So let's start with this. So if you were to help me out here, what do all these people have in common? Who wants to try? Just shout it out. Badasses, that's right, 100%. Talented, success, living the dream, right? And these are the people that I look at and I go, wow, there's got to be a commonality in all these people. So I start to focus and study successful people. I said, what are the things that they have? Those people have lots of choices, yes?
Yes.
They get to do really cool things. But in order to have those choices, they have to have a couple of elements that I believe are crucial. And depending on how you grew up, you saw I grew up in a farm, and I grew up in that kind of an environment, I learned to have a really good work ethic. If you go through the military or if your circumstances predicted that you had adversity in your life in order to survive, you had to step through it. I like to say that in life, if you do what is difficult, life will be easy. If you do what is easy, life will be what?
Difficult.
That's right. So if you look at the bottom there, you've got EQ and IQ, and I call that the quotients of success. So what's your work ethic? So I want you to think about that, and on a scale of 1 to 10, give yourself a number. Just jot it down, a number of what you would say is your work ethic. And I'll help you out a little bit. If you have the words, I don't feel like it, and you can't get yourself to take action, I would say your work ethic is not a 10 on 10. Fair enough? If you have the ability to show up early, stay late, get things done, people are like, oh my God, I'm going to give the job to her because she just makes shit happen. If that's the reputation you have, the character, then you probably have a high work ethic. Does that make sense?
Yes.
You know, I came here yesterday. I was supposed to arrive here around 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I got here at 2 o'clock in the morning. My flights got delayed. I've been on 4 hours sleep for the last 5 days. But nothing will stop me from showing up and giving 100%. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Fortunately for me, I didn't feel like it at the beginning, but fortunately I grew up in circumstances that had a lot of adversity. So I developed that muscle. And for many years I did not develop something else called compassion. So that's something I have to work on. You may have a muscle I don't have because of your circumstances. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Oh, come on, guys. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Thank you. That's where the energy is. Beautiful. So we're going to talk about your EQ and your IQ and how it affects everything. How many of you would agree that if you have skills around money, skills around people, and you also have skills around your health, in other words, you understand how your body functions, that there's chances you could live a pretty epic life? Yeah. That makes sense? Yeah? So we're going to talk about how to make that happen. So you got a score for your work ethic. You should also now have a score for a level of curiosity that you have in life. So I'll give you a contrast. Young children. We had some young children in the room here, yes? So do young children tend to ask a lot of questions? But mommy, where are we going? When are we getting there? How come it doesn't, right? They ask a lot of questions. They're very curious, yes? And if you see an older person that is not that curious anymore, we tend to call them what? Old and what?
Boring.
Boring, yes? Old and bitter. You heard that?
Yeah.
Like, and what happens is you say, hey, we're going to do this, and they go, oh, that'll never work. Or they're cynical and bitter because they're no longer open and curious. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So I want you to rate yourself now, and how curious are you? You're in this environment here in Mindvalley. When you meet somebody, you walk down the hall, are you the type of person that stays to yourself? Or you're the type of person that goes, oh, hey man, what's happening? Where are you from? What are you excited about? What are you passionate about? What did you learn yesterday? I just got here today. Tell me something you learned yesterday. Like, how much energy do you put into your life in remaining curious? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Are you with me?
Yeah. Yep.
So on a scale of 1 to 10, give yourself a score. Honestly, don't up-level it just for me. Honestly, day in, day out, as a human being, how curious are you? How interested are you in random things? That make sense?
Yeah.
Cool. So give yourself a little score there. And just to help you out, another little definition for you is your ability to get yourself to do what needs to be done, when it needs to be done, whether you feel like it or not. I learned how to do that living on a farm because animals need to be fed, yes?
Yes.
And they don't care if it's snowing or raining or it's cold out or you have a cold, you have to go out and do it. The beautiful thing is you learn how to push past what you thought was a limitation physically or mentally. Think about it. If you had an awesome work ethic. So Tony Robbins, I've been a trainer for Tony Robbins for 17 years. I just literally came from an event that we did there. The nights are short. How many of you have been to a Tony Robbins event? Anybody? Wow. You should put that on your list. Very, very amazing. So those of you have been, pretty cool stuff, yes? Yes. Have you walked on fire? Are you firewalkers? Yes. Cool. So we helped 9,000 people walk on fire the last couple of days. I've been doing it for 17 years. I've been to 70 of his events. And Tony Robbins has been doing it for 41 years. He's 58 years old. And in 41 years, he has never canceled an event. And the most he did was 240 events in 1 year. He does about 20 to 25 now. Think about that. 41 years, never showing up, not showing up for work. Isn't that cool? Like you'll be doing something right. So when I started to study him, I thought, I don't know, whatever he's eating, I'm going to eat. Whatever he's drinking, I'm going to drink. Whatever he believes, like Raphael said, I'm going to believe. And I started to model him, and I started to get epic results. But his work ethic is off the chart. And so are all those other successful people. How about curiosity? Do you think those people are curious? How many of you know the story of Sarah Blakely? Anybody? The girl that created Spanx, right? Cool, this is awesome. You guys have not been in personal development very long. If you don't know some of these stories, this is great. So she's a billionaire. She created this product called Spanx. But the interesting part in her story is that she would come home from school and her father would ask her what she failed at. And she'd go, what do you mean what I failed at? He goes, what did you try that you didn't succeed at? And she'd go, well, nothing. He goes, well, then you failed at trying to fail. I want you to go out and fail at something tomorrow. She goes, that's weird. And he goes, just do it. So then she'd go and try for the volleyball team, and she was terrible, and she wouldn't make it. And she'd go home, and she'd go, Dad, I tried out for the volleyball team, and I didn't make it. He goes, yes, that's awesome. And she'd be like, excuse me? He goes, yeah, you failed at something. And he conditioned her to take action, regardless of the result. Does that make sense? If you were conditioned to take action and go up to somebody and introduce yourself and they rejected you, but you didn't care, then you could take more action. True or true?
Yeah.
Right? But what happens is we get attached to the outcome. I'm going to build a business if I can be successful. Oh, I tried, it didn't work, I never want to do business again, I become an employee. Or I worked for a boss and he was an asshole, I never want to work for somebody anymore, so I start my own little basket weaving company in the basement of my house and I'm broke. Because you're afraid of rejection. The muscle that we have to develop is the ability to take action in spite of the result. Winston Churchill said that success is the ability to take action in spite, remain enthusiastic in spite of the setbacks. How enthusiastic are you when things go bad? I get excited, right? How can I use this to better myself, become a better version of myself? When I missed my flight and connection, I spent 9 hours in Poland yesterday. I'm like, this is really awesome. Initially, I didn't say that though. But I transitioned through it, right? But the reality is I can pull up my laptop and I can work anywhere, I can learn anywhere, and I can do anything I want if I change the way I see it. So I'm going to encourage you to develop a work ethic and to be around environments that are going to cause you to be more curious. Now here's the interesting thing. I want you to start thinking about this as I go through this. While you grew up in the first 20 years of your life, were you mostly supported, were you mostly encouraged, or were you mostly challenged? I'm going to give you some definitions on it. So support is you had resources. You had school books, you had lunch money, you had clothes, you had mom and dad paid for your soccer lessons. You had resources. You were also nurtured and loved. So that would be support. Encouragement would be validation. It would be acknowledgement. It would be, I see you. Your parents came and watched you play your sport, or they came to your graduation. But you were seen, you were encouraged, and when you fell down, it was like, hey, it's going to be okay. That's normal. Get back up and go at it. So that would be the encouragement piece. And then the challenge piece would be the opposite of support, is where there's a lack of resources. Like for me, for instance, some days I went to school, I didn't have food for lunch. I would look at the other kids, and sometimes they'd, give me their apple or something like that. But there was a lack of resource on a regular basis. If we let any food go bad in the fridge, sometimes I had to eat green bologna. It was that or go hungry. So the adversity created creativity in my life. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yes. I was looking, necessity is the mother of invention. I remember once eating an orange and eating the peel because I wanted the extra food and realized that my stomach did not like the peel. There's a reason that you take it off. My father used to make us eat an apple right down to just the stem left. You'd eat the seeds and that little yucky part in the middle gets stuck in your throat. He'd make us eat that. So there was lack of resources. So that's a challenge. And it could be imposed by you, by your environment, or it could be self-imposed, where you're like, you know what, I'm going to try out for the volleyball team, and I'm 5'2", but I'm going to try and try and try and never give up. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So think about that. Also for you parents, I'll give you a frame. Here's my belief, is that the masculine or male energy represents challenge. The feminine or female energy represents support or nurturing. And you both, in a perfect system, share in the encouragement. Does that make sense? So I'll give you an example. Your little child falls on the driveway on the bike, and mom runs up and goes, "Are you okay? Looks like you got a scrape on your knee. Come here, let me kiss it better." And then dad comes along and he goes, "Man, that was cool. I like the way you flipped over the bike. You want to do it again?" Right? So he provides a different context for the brain to be programmed, and then they both go, "Come on, let's get back up on the bike, we'll put a Band-Aid on that, and let's do it again." Does that make sense? If you get too much of one, you end up being out of balance. And I'll use this as a metaphor, is imagine a tree growing in the soil, and the soil represents the support. If you have no fertile soil, it's hard for a tree to grow, yes? The sun represents the encouragement, and it reaches up and it encourages it to grow. And the wind represents the challenge. So as the wind comes along, the tree's like, "Oh, hold on a second here. We got to support, we got to dig in, we got to root ourselves into the ground so we're stronger for the future that's going to come." We grow to be the best version of ourselves, and we grow into a huge oak tree. And the oak tree is capable of withstanding the storm because it was tested along the way. Without that, if there's no fertile soil, the tree falls down and you end up with a swamp. With no sun, the tree doesn't grow. You end up with short brush. If the wind is not testing you and it comes along, you get knocked over. So think about how you grew up the first 20 years. I'll give you an example. Imagine parents that mollycoddle the child. The child comes home and goes, "Johnny kicked me at school." And then the parent goes, "Well, let me handle this." And goes over and handles the battle for the kid. You know what I'm talking about, yes? The child doesn't develop a muscle. the child starts to hide behind the parent. And then that same child goes out to build its business, and somebody kicks them in the shin business-wise, and they want to go running back to mommy. Right? The trust fund babies, we call them. They have no muscle, they have no purpose, they have no meaning to their life, they have no strength. So the parent doesn't do them a favor by doing their homework for them. They actually disable them and disempower them. My children grew up with tough love, a little bit less tough than I had, but all my children are entrepreneurs and on the financial path to success because I did the tough things. I used to make my kids read a book. I paid them to read a book, and then they had to write a resume and then present to the family the resume and their findings in front of the family, and then they would get feedback from the family. So the family learned how to give feedback, and we always started with what was great about the presentation, and then what could be improved, and we rotated. All my kids now are comfortable with one of the biggest fear, which is public speaking. Did they like it when it was happening? Hell no! Did they like, oh, not again, Dad, are you kidding me? Right? They resisted it. But if you do in life what is difficult, life will be what?
Easy.
And if you do what is easy, life will be difficult. Difficult will come. It will come. Life is designed for us to grow. If you don't choose your goals and set them out there and create a path, then God will come and create a problem for you. Yes or yes?
Yes.
And some of you have financial problems right now because you haven't learned how to win the money game. True or true?
Yes. Yeah.
The energy drop there. So I'm going to share with you how I've mastered the money game. I have 36 streams of revenue. I make more in a month now than most people make in 2 or 3 years without having to work. And it's not because I'm so great. It's because I found out how to win the money game. I'm going to share that with you today. But this is the inner game. This is what I call the ecosystem for effort. It goes for businesses. It goes for your children. I've studied with some of the greats, potential tennis players in the world. And many of them had the support from their parents in order to hear the lessons, here's the gear, here's all that stuff. And they got them coaches and they were challenged. But when they would come home, the parents weren't there to connect with them and validate them and celebrate with them. They were like, so how'd it go? Oh man, I worked hard all day. Yeah, well, you're going to go back tomorrow. You know, I'm paying for your lessons. You better play full out. What they did is they gave them challenge and support, but no what? The soul becomes empty without encouragement. Mike Tyson is a great example. He had massive adversity, massive challenge. He became incredibly successful, made over $500 million, and then sabotaged himself and lost it all because there was no human connection. What we all want is to belong, connect, and matter. And without the encouragement, the validation, the celebration, the I see you, you're not going to give a shit. You'll mess it all up. Are you guys with me? So notice this, and what I want to do is just take a couple of minutes and have you get into a group of 2 or 3 and share what your experience was growing up, where you mostly support, encourage, and challenge, and just discuss what you're noticing about it now and how it's manifesting in your life. And just before we do that, I'll share with you that you'll go through cycles. When I was around 24, I got a job at a restaurant, and then I met my first major mentor, and he helped me become better with people. I grew up mostly working with goats and 2x4s. I didn't have a lot of confidence dealing with people. But he was really good with people, and he mentored me in that area, and he kept on telling me, you can do it. I'll help you. He spoke like 5 languages, and I was so captivated by that. And he encouraged me constantly. He'd give me the keys and say, you lock up tonight. I'm like, me? You're like, give me the responsibility. Yeah, I trust you, Rob. You got this. And so I started to evolve, and I started to get excited because I started having encouragement, which I never did. My father and my circumstances were always challenged, not really any support, not encouraged. I was becoming bitter, and I was becoming one of those people that, what will happen, by the way, is when you struggle in your life, do you tend to run into crowds and spend time with people, or do you tend to isolate yourself? That's right. The human spirit will go and beat itself up privately. As though they're the nature. When an animal is wounded, it will move away from the pack. let the pack go off, and it will die on its own or allow itself to be attacked. And we do the same thing. Passive aggressive. We tell the world, I don't care, or we're quiet. But really we're hurting inside and we're beating ourselves up, and we have a conversation that's something like, I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy. And we feel terribly lonely. So in my world, in my businesses, we are very hyper-conscious of this. We have something called aggressive inclusionment. If you see me over the next few days, and I'm in a conversation with somebody, and you want to come up, and you're curious, you just walk right up, and I'll put my arm around you and say, hey, we're talking about X, Y, Z. It doesn't matter whether it's intimate or not. I have no secrets. Come join me. Because I was that little kid that changed schools 7 times and walked into the cafeteria with a little tray, looking for that table to sit down at. How many of you know what I'm talking about? Today, we do it differently. We walk down the hallway, and when we feel alone and insecure, I have to check my text here. I'm very busy. Right? Or you're sitting on the couch, and then somebody walks by, and you're like, oh my God, I'm alone. I'm not with anybody. They're going to think I'm a loser. No, did you have something? Oh yes, Bob, how are you? Yes, I'm expecting you. Right? Aggressive inclusion. If you're in my world, I will include you, and I will help you become a whole life millionaire. Because I believe that choices is what we deserve to have. To live from a place of abundance. And it doesn't need to take the amount of time it took me, because there's a formula for it. I want to share that with you today. So let's get you into some groups. We'll do this for a couple of minutes, get into 2-3 groups, and talk about your experience growing up, and just learn whether you had more of this or that and what shows up for you. So go ahead and do that now. Get into a group. Find yourself a group. Be curious. Jump in with somebody. Lean over. Be aggressively inclusive. Say, hey, come on over here. Jump with me. Hey, over here. Come with us.
After that, I went to work. Daycare, I'm gonna work from 7 a.m. till 12 midnight, and I don't care. The money is important.
Begin finishing up. Take your partner, give him a high five and say, you are badass. All right. All right, finish up, finish up. You guys like that exercise, huh? You guys are pretty excited about that. All right, let's do a couple of shares. Who has the first comment on what you learned or noticed about yourself or somebody else? Who would like to share first? Right here in the middle.
Yeah.
Mike's coming.
Alex.
Mike, your name and what you.
Hi, I'm Chris. I just talked to Alex, and we both had a divorce of our parents when we were younger. And we reckon that we were more on this, what you call female side, so it was very supportive from our mother and encouraging, also by the partners that our mothers got. But this really challenging part that you would connect to a father on the male side is something that we are both missing, or were missing in the childhood.
Interesting. And how is this manifested in your life? Do you seek an environment that's very challenging, or do you seek more environments that are very supportive and encouraging?
I think I would seek the more supportive environments, and it's more of a task for me to really get into a challenge. I think Alex wants to join in on the conversation.
It's super interesting because it's really challenging for me now, and it became like a huge issue that I have to deal with, and I was not aware of it in those terms, and it's super interesting to look at my life in these three areas.
Yeah.
As a framework.
So great. Thank you for sharing. Give him a hand. So by the way, what will typically happen is you'll repeat what you had. So I went for a lot of adversity, or you'll do the exact opposite. You're like, man, you know what? It's enough adversity. I'm going over here and you become really kind and really compassionate. Or you get addicted to the adversity and you're like, bring it on, right? So, but here's what will happen over time, and this is what I've noticed, is that eventually, look at them as vessels. So, yes, I've had the challenge vessel, but if you don't fill up those other vessels over time, then your soul is kind of like out of whack. So now I'm at a stage of my life where I'm working on being more compassionate, and working on self-love and self-care. Because I've got that muscle developed. It's like I have a huge bicep with challenge. Now I gotta work on the tricep of support and encourage. I'm also an incredibly encouraging person because I didn't get it. And I could never, I go for the underdog all the time. And in fact, it's worked against me. Somebody would come up to me and say, Rock, can I borrow some money? And before they finish the sentence, I'd say, how much do you need? Because I never wanted somebody to feel the way I felt when they weren't encouraged. Does that make sense? So you become an enabler in a negative way. I lent my best friend $110,000 and he lost it all in the stock market, and now that friendship has gone south. So I now have a rule that I cannot loan any money without my buddy Mark Yegi at the back of the room, who signs off on it. He's on my board of directors, and one other guy I have. Doesn't matter whether it's $1,000 or $500,000 for an investment. They have to sign off because of the way I was raised and my conditioning and my programming. I'm not a good, I don't trust myself to see it the way I should see it, if that makes sense. Many of you may be in a similar situation where it's like, I was at Tony Robbins yesterday and this kid comes up to me and goes, hi, I gotta hang out with you, man, you're like super cool and you just make shit happen. And I said, yeah, I go, you know, I'm 55 years old and I challenge you to a push-up contest right now. He goes, let's go. Bam, right down there on the floor, 82 push-ups I got to, and he was still going. And I'm like, that's pretty good for a 55-year-old guy, right? 82 push-ups. But this kid told me 3 months ago he wanted a push-up contest, did 152 in a row. I didn't know that going into it, right? But the challenge comes easily to me. Does that make sense? I even have an identity that says, I will outwork you. I have no fear there. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're like an Olympic athlete. I have the mindset of thousands of hours of conditioning that I am unstoppable. How many of you get that? Can you feel it? It's congruent, yes? You have developed something because of your program. Maybe you're incredibly compassionate, or you're a really, really good listener, or you're superb at perceiving people. Maybe your heart's wide open and you're sensitive to other people. You can feel their pain and it makes you feel sad. I don't know what your skill is, but I am here to say that you got to fill up the other vessels. You got to create an awareness around it. If you haven't been challenged, I was talking to a guy yesterday and he goes, my son has developed a drinking problem because when I got divorced, he goes, my wife and I felt guilty and we mollycoddled him. When I walked him through this process, he goes, oh my God, that's exactly what I did. We supported him, we did things for him, we did his homework for him. We felt so guilty. And now he can't handle the world. He can't handle the rejection. He can't handle the adversity, so he goes to drink. That make sense? We all develop addictions to overcome the imbalance in that ecosystem. And I've done it all. I've gotten all the drugs you can do. I've been down that path looking for an escape from the pain of not being encouraged and nurtured and loved. How many of you are with me? Some of you don't feel like you have a sense of purpose or drive or meaning to your life because you can't get yourself to do the things that are difficult because you haven't built that muscle yet. You need to put yourself into an ecosystem where somebody's going to hold you accountable to step up. You're like, oh no, I can't do another, rep. What does the trainer do? You're like at 10 reps, what does the trainer do? A good trainer, what do? They say, give me what? More. No, give me 6 more. And then you do 3 more, and 95% of your growth is on that 13th one, and you walk away and you feel fully what? Alive and excited, because you broke through to a new level. That's what we want. All those pictures of those people I showed you, that's why we admire them. Phelps, 6 hours a day in the pool. You have respect for that person because they push themselves to be the best version of themselves. Yes or yes? Come on, guys, yes or yes? Yes. Let's practice the energy now, not tomorrow, not later, now. And this is what we all want. What happens when somebody does something outstanding is we connect. We don't isolate. We do that when we're not doing well, when we beat ourselves up, when we feel we haven't reached for the best version of ourselves. But when we are the best version of ourselves, the human spirit recognizes it and it collides together. And we crave for that. So I'm going to show you now how you can win the money game so you can have choices. I believe that we want choices, right? Here's a little bit more of a definition. I gave those to you already. So we want to build that out so you can have more choices. And one of the ways to do that is to follow these 5 fundamental pillars. So I'm going to go fast here. So everybody sit up in your chair, take a deep breath. All right, take a deep breath. And I'm going to go fast here for numbers-wise just because of the time. So I'm going to say that the average person works 2,000 hours a year, which is 40 hours a week. And that in this context, you're going to make $40 an hour. I want you to think about the amount of money you make in a year and divide it by approximately the number of hours you work. If you're currently working 50 hours a week, and you're making $100,000, I think that's 20 bucks an hour, whatever it is. You got to figure it out. But in this context here, this person would make gross $80,000 a year. Are you with me? Yes. Man, the standards fall down quickly. Are you with me? Yes. Energy is the currency of success. Don't save it. When was the last time you sat down on the couch because you were tired for 2 hours and you had more energy? Like never. When was the last time you didn't feel like working out but you worked out and you came out of there and you had more energy? Yeah. Yes? Yeah. Let's exercise the energy. You can save it all for after you're dead. Don't spend it then. Let's spend it now, together. So this person here is making $80,000. That's what they earn. Now, can you affect what you earn? Yes or yes? Yes. So you could have a job and earn that much. But I want to offer for you that there's other things you could do. You could have a side hustle. You could rent out a room in your house. I bought my mother a house 3 years ago, and she Airbnbs a room for $62.50 a night, and she bought herself a new Honda Civic, and she's pretty stoked by it. Okay? She increased her earning. Her earning is like $600 a month from her pension, but she found a way to create more. You could drive an Uber if you were, right? If you wanted to. So here's the question I have for you. How badly do you want to live an epic life? You have to answer that question for yourself. What are you willing to overcome? And the right answer for me is whatever it takes. It's like, Rock, tell me what to do and I'll do it. Not like, yeah, but do I have to work on Friday nights, Rock? And like, what about jet lag? Because I need to sleep in, that's going to be hard, right? No, it should be whatever it takes. So I'll walk you through a process when we do this of all the things you could do. Right? When we do our trainings on this, we get people into groups and we say, what could you do? I could drive an Uber, I could rent out a room, I could do a side hustle, I could write a blog, I could start some coaching, whatever you could do to add more revenue. I'm going to say that, let's say, in this example, this person decides to work 60 hours a week or 3,000 hours. How much would they earn then? Thank you, 120. So now we're up to 120. Let's say they rent out a room in their house, if they have a house, for $600 a month. So there's $7,200. Let's say they get a side hustle, bartending. I don't know what, but let's say they get up to $150,000. That's their goal. And they're willing to work more. By the way, when you work 60 or 70 hours a week, which I've done a lot of, I drove a taxi for 12 hours a day and I had a side job 4 hours a week, you have less time to spend money. So it's like forced savings. And if you're like me, I was a flight attendant or I had jobs where I worked somewhere, they also had food there. So you ate their food and you dropped your expenses down. When I was working for my first mentor at a restaurant, we ended up bankrupting that restaurant, and he offered me a job in the airlines. So I went and became a flight attendant, but I had to move to Quebec City, this is in Canada, and I had to learn French. I didn't know French, but I was in need of a job, so I said yes, and I learned French. But I also got a side hustle parking cars at Hotel de Gouvernement about 4 hours a night when I wasn't flying. And I started looking for my first real estate deal. I was living in a room in the basement of a lady's house, and I was paying $200 a month. I'm going to talk about your expenses in a moment, what you spend. And then I found this home that I could buy for, I think it was $65,000, with $2,500 down on my credit card, and the rest was vendor financing. That's when the owner takes back the mortgage instead of a bank, because I couldn't qualify. Are you with me?
Yeah.
In this house, there were people that were physically handicapped. I had to learn how to give a guy an insulin shot. There was another guy that once in a while would wake up in the middle of the night and walk out the door, walk down the street. So not everybody wanted to take on that job. Does that make sense? But if you're willing to do what is difficult, life will be what? Easy. And if you're only willing to do what is easy, then life will be difficult. So I was earning $13,500 as a flight attendant, side job. I was earning $2,400 of revenue from running this little house. Almost triple, but I also had to live in that house for free and had the value of the house go up and the mortgage go down. And I borrowed 20 grand from my mother to invest in the restaurant, and I ended up being able to pay her back that in about a year and a half. So what I did was exactly what I'm going to share with you is I was able to increase my earning, yes? Yep. But I also was able to decrease what I was spending. And what I'm going to offer for you, as simplistic as it is, most people don't do a budget. I teach people how to do that in one of my mastermind groups, but the fact of the matter is that people don't do it for many reasons. They're not good with numbers, they don't want to know the truth, blah, blah, blah. But you can't improve what you don't measure. So I want to help you create a gap between the two. And the money that's left over, what do you think we're going to do with it?
Invest.
You guys are good. We're going to invest it. That's what rich people do. Rich people work hard for their money so that they can have money work hard for them. Poor people earn money to spend. Usually because they're at a job that they hate. So they're like, work Monday to Friday. They go, thank goodness it's Friday. And then they blow all their money on the weekend. And they never get ahead. So I want to help you be conscious of how you can earn. But think about this, how exciting this could be. What if you rode your bike to work instead of taking the car? What if you downgraded your car or downgraded your living arrangements and lived in a tiny room like I did? And you slammed your expenses down, and you drove your expenses down, because in this case, the example I have in my head is $73,000 is $200 a day of expenses. Let's say that what that person's reality was. That left $7,000 for them to invest. Yes? Are you with me?
Yep.
Yes.
That's a small number. If you take that and put it over time, you're not going to become financially free very quickly. What we want to do is I want to help you get it to $100,000. $100,000, Rock, I've never even made that much money in my life. We're going to help you, right? We're going to break that limiting pattern and that belief. It's very doable. So what we do is we get you to drop this if you want. Maybe you want to have a great lifestyle. Maybe you're used to earning $400,000 a year. I want you to drop it down to $300,000 and have $100,000 you can invest. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yes.
When you have that $100,000 to invest, you're going to see that within 5 years, you're going to become a millionaire. I'm going to show you the numbers. So here's some ideas. You can do a garage sale, rent a room, ask for a raise, work overtime, work for free until somebody pays you. Write a blog, walk dogs, water plants, babysit, drive. I mean, there's just endless things you can do if you're creative, if you want it badly. Work on your work ethic and your curiosity. Get excited about taking your life to the next level, about winning the money game. A lot of people say to me, yeah, but Rock, you talk about money all the time, you know. Relationships are more important. And I go, yeah, well, what's more important, your arm or your leg? And they go, both. Money is itself a game. Your health in itself is a game. And if you don't play that game, one day your bad health wakes up and has all your attention. True or true?
Yeah.
If you don't pay attention, people are like, yeah, money's not important to me, Rock. I go, are you married? They go, yeah. I go, tell your spouse that they're not important to you. See how long they hang around. You have to covet money. You have to romance money. You have to invite it into your life. You have to take care of it. You don't have to worship it. You just have to have a place for it in your life. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yes.
Most people tell themselves a story partially because they don't want to challenge. They don't want to go out and be rejected. They're afraid of being rejected, so they're like, oh yeah, but Rock, I don't really need that much money. I'm good. I don't want to pay that much taxes. Neither do I. I'm going to show you how to not pay a lot of taxes. All right? So I have a system that I use. I learned actually from T. Harv Eker, and I use it. Many of you probably know him. Mindvalley has him as one of your teachers. And Model Best, I spoke with him. I did his trainings for a few years. And I like the system, and this is what I live by. Notice the education jar there. Notice the long-term savings, necessities. It's a system, and that's the managing system here. I don't have time to go into details. But imagine if you could bring this down to 50,000. That's not even a ton. You go from 73 in earnings down to 50, and now you have a $100,000 gap. The managing system, that's a system in itself. And to protect, what is to protect, do you think? What would that represent?
Insurance.
Yes, life insurance, wills, trusts, incorporations, things that most people that have no money don't spend any time focusing on because they're like, well, I have no money, I don't need to know about that. That's like saying, well, I don't need to exercise because I'm not sick. No. You need to learn about it so that you can get there. And when you get there, you're not a baby. You're not completely ignorant. You're like Bambi. Oh my God, if I gave you $1 million or $10 million today, would you know what to do with it? Would you know what kind of return you should get? Would you know where to put it? Would you know the tax implications? No. Most people don't. 77% of people, can you believe this, live paycheck to paycheck in North America. 66% of people can't come up with $400 for an emergency fund within a 2-week period. Are you kidding me? I say to people, what's the biggest check you can write right now? Right now, in this moment, what's the biggest check you can write? What do you think the biggest check is that, say, I don't know, Elon Musk could write right now? What do you think? 100 million maybe? Right? Pretty easily, just like that? What's the biggest check you can write? You want to make a decision. If Vishen walked in here and he says, hey, guys, I got this great idea. I'm opening up this division and I'm selling shares $1,000 a piece, and this is what we're going to do with this company. And you go, wow, guaranteed 20% return. How many shares would you like? 100? Yes?
Yes.
And now you're going to put your money where your mouth is. Write the check now, right? I want to get it to a place where you guys don't have to make those decisions so difficultly, where you can write a check, that you're stranded in an airport and you miss the flight and you got to buy a new ticket and you're like, okay, no problem, $800, here I go. I was in California once and I was doing a talk and my son was playing in a golf tournament And my talk finished earlier, the whole event finished earlier, and I had a chance to get on a flight earlier. She goes, you got to upgrade, it's going to cost you $800, and I'm like, do it. No problem. Because I value the experience over the money and have the capacity to earn it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right, let's finish up here. I got some numbers for you. So on the slash side, here are some suggestions. Downsize anything, your car, your house, your apartment, your phone, or cable. When I was working as a flight attendant, I had this shitbox Toyota Corolla. I mean, I didn't know if it was going to get there. I think it cost me $200, but I didn't care. Again, struggling people financially want to look good. They want to wear the designer clothes. They want to have the big house and the big fancy car. Don't buy liabilities until you can afford it, is what I would say. Stop memberships or put them on for a year. If you're a member of a gym, and I'm a big fan of working out, could you be creative and maybe ride your bike to work instead and do push-ups at home? Could you do that? Yes. If you were committed, you could do that and save the $40, $50. You might think it's nothing, but I look at this as a game. $40, $50 a month. I'm moving this down, moving it down, moving it down, moving it down. It's not a scarcity mentality. It's a creative mentality to pour as much as quickly as possible over here so I have choices. Are you with me?
Yes.
Make your own lunches. Every Sunday I used to make my lunches. I get my Tupperware out, I'd make all my salads. First of all, I eat better. Second of all, I'm not stressed out and hangry at 2 o'clock in the afternoon when I'm working, and I'm like, God, I gotta run out and get some junk food and overpay, stand in line, and waste my time. So there's multiple effects to make that better. We've done a study on people that do a budget, and the average person saves $430 a month just on food changes, from takeout and dinners. They're like, oh my God, I didn't realize it. We go out like Thursday night and Saturday night, and we order takeout when we're tired because they haven't been working on their energy. And when we make that shift, and by the way, if you do this with a group of people, which I recommend, is what happens is the encourage piece is, somebody's gonna go, oh my God, you know what? I made my lunches this week and I saved $150. And somebody's going to go, that's so cool. Way to go, high five, right? And we all want to be seen and celebrated. So when you do that and inspire somebody else to do it, they call you back next week and they go, I did the same thing, I saved $150. And you're like, you did? I inspired you? How cool. And it gives it life. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
When you do it on your own and you're like, oh, I gotta make another bunch of lunches Sunday afternoon, I want to be watching the sports. This sucks, nobody cares. It's not gonna make a difference. It's $40, who even cares? Rock Thomas is stupid and crazy, come on. It's not gonna make a dent in my life. I'm already in so much in debt, what the heck? No, don't think that way. Chip away, chip away, chip away at your success. Go for the little victories. Coffee's like $5 if you go to a half-decent place. Make it at home for $1 or 50 cents. Do the little things. I bartered with my dentist. My dentist did $2,700 worth of work, and I have a house that I Airbnb to her for her Christmas party. Cost me nothing. Cool or cool? Right? So be creative. Work more hours, spend less time, buy secondhand clothes. My mother has never made more than $20,000 in her life. She's what we call a money monk. She always buys secondhand clothes. What if for 1 year you said, I'm not going to buy any new clothes? You could slash the budget there. See how easy it is? If you think about it? Don't get too excited about these ideas, guys. See how easy it is? Where's my energy? I'm excited about this. Okay. So these are the 4 money personality types, and that's something we could talk about another time, or if we have time. I mean, I'll be around if you want to talk to me one-on-one. This is the protect piece, and I'm going to give you a specific example. How many of you own your own business? How many of you live in the United States? Okay, this is for you. You can, check this with your accountant, you can rent your own house to yourself for board meetings. This is legal, the tax law allows it. And you can charge approximately 1% of the value of your home. Your home's worth $500,000, charge yourself $500 a day, once a month, to rent the house tax-free. And you can do that for 12 days, plus 2 bonus days, 14 days, times 7 is $7,000. How much, please? $7,000. $7,000 that you get from your company, your LLC, to yourself personally, tax-free. $7,000. And what does it create in your company? A what? An expense. A $7,000 expense. If your tax rate is 20 or 25%, you have another $2,000 or $3,000. You, by coming here today, if you have an LLC or a company and you're in the United States, you just made $10,000. Cool or cool?
Sweet.
And you guys just don't love money like I do. I'd be like, woohoo! Are you kidding me? $10,000 just for showing up here and taking the initiative to learn and be curious? Cool, man! I'm gonna give you a big hug afterwards, Rock. Thank you so much. But then again, that's just me. All right, well, we got more stuff like that. That's just one small example. So the invest part, what are we going to do there? How many of you are familiar with Robert Kiyosaki cash flow quadrant? So I'm going to walk you through this really simply. I wish I had more time for you guys, but I'm going to go through this simply. Is you have 4 ways to make money. Here you're an employee, you're trading time for what?
Money.
Time for what, guys? Money. Time for money. It's the lowest level you can have, and the tax advantages are very poor. Over here, you're self-employed, and you're changing time for money, but you're under the illusion that you have freedom. So you can go, to watch your kids or play tennis at 10 o'clock in the morning, but you work at 10 o'clock at night. Yes or yes? Yeah. Okay, there's not really any advantage. It's the same basically over here. You have a bit of a bigger skill set. You maybe have 2 or 3 employees. I'm a lot over here. I have a real estate company with 114 salespeople. I make a little bit of money off of them. But I've advanced to the stage where I'm good at sharing a vision, and I'm good at also hiring people that manage those people for me. So an example, in that company, I make $20,000 a month, and I spend about 1 hour. I just talk to my manager, give her a couple of things, just a couple of questions, and that's it. It took me a few years to build that, but that's an example. Over here is big business, you're 500 employees or more, and what you've done is you've leveraged people. So you have people doing the job for you. Make sense? Yes. And then over here we have investments, and what you've done do is you have money leveraged. So Warren Buffett invests in a lot of companies. He has money, he invests in companies that make him money. So you either leverage money or people over here, which is the side you want to be on, and here you're just trading your time for money. Think about it. If you spend 40 or 60 hours a week working, you're giving up at least half of your life to put food on the table and a roof over your head. Yes? Yes. If you're very fortunate, you love what you do, and you go in with a big smile on your face, and you're making bucket loads of money, and the time off you have, you're doing really cool shit, and you're lit on fire, that's about 1% of the population. Okay? Most people haven't gotten there, they don't believe they can get there, and they weren't taught how to get there. So my goal is to move over here. I told you I have 36 streams of income. A lot of them are in this area. I invest in other people's businesses. I invest in the stock market. But the biggest one that I want to give you is the investment in real estate. That's been the big one for me. It's made me the most money, and it averages me at least 25% a year. And many of you may not believe that, and I don't have time to go into it, but I want you to just imagine that that is possible. How many of you think it is possible to get 25% a year? Yes? Okay. And by the way, you can get more. It's called the Burr method. You buy a home that needs to be fixed up, you renovate it with your own blood, sweat, and tears if you don't have the money to do it for somebody else. Then you refinance it. So you buy it for 100, you put in 10,000, you go back to the bank, and they evaluate it at 150 because you got it at a good deal and you fixed it up. Are you with me? Yeah. You go back to the bank, and the 20,000 you put in, they give it back to you because they loan you now 110,000 on the property. You get all your money back and a little bit more. And now as you own that property and rent it out, you make an infinite return for the rest of your life. Cool or cool? Yeah. If you do not own real estate, shame on you as far as I'm concerned. Shame on you. It's the best vehicle bar now. You could be in the stock market, you could be in cryptocurrency, you could do Airbnb, you could do all those things. But own some freaking real estate and make it part of your life. It's a game changer for me. I never have to work again a day in my life because of real estate. It's really awesome. All right. So here's the example I want to give you. So notice that this is a 10% return over 5 years, and you're starting with $100,000. Your total deposits are $480, and the total interest you're making on those over a 5-year period is how much? How much? You see it? Total interest. 204, right? Look at the chart how the blue represents the principal you started with, the 100,000. The orange represents the deposits. I'm saying 8,000 a month, which is your 100,000 that I talked to you about before, approximately, right? That's why I gave you the 100,000. And then the green is the interest. You're making a little bit of interest there, it's not bad. Notice what happens when we go to 25% interest rate. 25%, which is very doable in real estate, if not more. Same numbers, 5 years, you now have $1.28 million worth of value. You are a millionaire in 5 years. All you have to do is follow that system. You go, yeah, but Brock, that's out of reach. I don't know how to do that. Okay, well then let's go here, where, oh yeah, this one I did over 25 years, just for the fun of it. Look how it goes up. It goes up to, in 25 years. Some of you are in here, you're like 20 years old. If you follow this, by the time you're 45, you'll be worth 12 million. Cool or cool? How about this one? $234 million in 25 years. Is that crazy or what? Just follow the system. 25 years. Now that's a long time. Most people are like, okay, anything could happen, etc. So that may not be realistic. But here's one that may be realistic for you. This one is $800 a month. $800 a month for 5 years on the top at 10% and 25% at the bottom. $800 a month is pretty reasonable. Yes or yes? Yes. It's doable. You'd end up with, after 5 years, $61,000, which for most North Americans is way more than they have. You can't put 400 bucks together. You do $800 a month. Could you do $800 a month if you were committed? How many of you would say you could do it? All right, for the rest of you, come see me after class.
Explain what it means to do 800 a month.
Yeah, to save $800 a month and then to put it into an investment. Don't worry about the vehicle, okay, for now. You've got to first believe that it's worth it for you to do that. Then we've got to get you down to the investment quadrant and we've got to get you to learn, right? How many of you know how to ride a bike? How many of you were born knowing how to ride a bike? Thank you I like your enthusiasm, that's great. So you learned it, it's like anything else. I wasn't born learning real estate. I had a mentor that helped me. And we can teach you that as well. In the bottom one at 25%, you end up with an extra $30,000 after 5 years. So you can see that there's a profound effect if you're willing to do some simple things. What did we talk about today? We talked about, can you earn more money than you're earning now?
Yes.
Is there anybody in the room that you had a situation, something happened in your environment with your family or what have you, and it forced you to gather up some money to help out maybe with somebody who was going through a hard time, or you needed an operation, or you needed a root canal or something? Has anybody had that happen? And you found yourself becoming creative and resourceful, yes? If any of you lost your phone, your iPhone today or whatever you have, it broke, it got run over by a car, would you go without a phone for a year? No. No. You'd find that $800 to buy a new phone or something, yes? Yes. So you have the ability to be resourceful. We're just not put in the situation that demands it. That's the piece that might be missing for a lot of people. Put yourself into an arena that demands you step up and you become creative, and you will. You'll find the muscle. So, for me, one of the biggest things I've learned in the last few years is the power of who you hang out with. Jim Rohn says that you are the sum total of the 5 people you hang out with. So I've consciously, what's the word? Consciously sought out people that are very, very successful. Far more successful than me. So if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room, right? I worked out with Olympic athletes in swimming when I was in Thailand last year. Just being beside these Russians that were swimming laps with no training, nothing, it just pushed me harder and better. Hang out with people that are going to help you. So here's what I suggest you do as you leave here today, is brainstorm on the things that you can do to earn more money. Be passionate about it, be excited about it, talk to people in the hallways before you leave here, and commit. One of my mentors told me is, don't leave the site of setting a goal without taking some action toward it. Call somebody, put it in your agenda, say you're going to try Uber, you're going to download the app, you're going to apply for 10 jobs or something. And then the second part is, what can you do to decrease your spending? Downgrade something. I gave you the list before. And then the final thing is, start to join a real estate group locally, look on some things online, buy a book by Robert G. Allen called, Nothing Down, How to Buy Real Estate, or something, and start to learn about investing so that when you start to accumulate the money, you're not going to feel like Bambi and completely out of whack and uncertain. And better, you can find some people that know what they're doing and partner with them on the first deal. Support, encourage, challenge. Find an ecosystem that's going to support, encourage, and challenge you to live an epic life and to follow these 5 fundamental pillars of financial freedom. And then you can have the choice to not only be here, but be anywhere you want 12 months of the year with your family and to lead a quality of life, an epic life. Thank you.